Ainara, and I love digging into a good book. So let's read, learn, and grow together, one diverse character at a time. Welcome to Ainara's Bookshelf. I needed one of my book besties today. In case you don't know, that's a character in a book I'm positive would be my best friend in real life. So I chose Zoe. This is From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. It's a realistic fiction starring one of my top book besties, Zoe Washington. And it deals with a lot of very real issues and topics. This book is about a 12-year-old girl named Zoe, who's an aspiring baker. Zoe loves baking, and her dream is to compete in the Food Network Kids Baking Competition. She has big goals, but this is all interrupted on her 12th birthday, when she receives a letter from her biological dad, Marcus, who she's never met. He's currently in prison for murder. Zoe was very confused, but she decides to write him a letter in secret without telling her mom or stepdad. Marcus tells her that he's innocent, and for a while she thinks he's lying. But after a trip to the library, she learns that innocent people can actually go to jail, so now she's not so sure. This takes Zoe Washington on an exciting summer of getting to know her biological dad, while going on a journey to discover if he's innocent or guilty. If that's not enough, she still has to hang on to her friends while interning at a bakery to convince her parents she has what it takes to be in the kids' baking competition. This book is fast and full of action. There's so much going on, but not too much that it's confusing. Zoe has to balance keeping the secret that she's talking to Marcus, trying to learn more about being wrongly convicted, which is a topic she doesn't know much about. She also has her own baking dreams, and she has to fix a problem with her friend Trevor. I think that the author, Janae Marks, makes Zoe a really relatable character. Some kids might connect with the baking or extracurricular part of Zoe. Others may relate with having troubles with a friend, and others with a complicated family. I know I can relate to all of those. So I really love that Zoe has different sides of her, and she's really like a normal kid. This book is so excellently balanced. There are times when it's light and fluffy like Zoe's delicious cupcakes, and other times it's dark and complex like the flawed justice system Marcus is up against. I hope that young readers are as inspired as I was by this book, and realize you don't have to wait till you're an adult to make important choices, and kids can make a huge difference. You'll probably want to be her friend too after reading this story, but you can't be her best friend because that spot's already taken by me. I recommend it for ages 9 and up. The creator of this story is middle grade author Janae Marks. She's from Connecticut and has written some incredible middle grade novels, like A Soft Place to Land, From the Desk of Zoe Washington, of course, and also the sequel, On Air with Zoe Washington. You know, I'm getting a bit hungry. Wanna come get a sweet treat with me? Thank you so much for meeting me here.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me to be at a bakery with you.
Yeah, this is incredible. It's so nice to finally meet you in person.
I know. I'm so excited after talking to you on Instagram. It's so cool to see you in real life.
Yeah. Well, I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Your very own apron, since we are in a bakery.
That's so cool. I don't think I've ever had one with my name on it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, here we are in a bakery. Zoe loves baking, and it plays such a fun role in both of the books. So, I thought we would do a little activity. We have some cupcakes that will be icing.
Oh
do you have any experience?
This is cool. I don't actually have as much baking experience, surprisingly. People are usually shocked to find that out because I write about it, but you can learn a lot about baking from just watching a lot of baking shows, which is what I usually do, so.
Yeah, I mean, let's get started, and then we can start our talk about Zoe.
Okay, sounds good.
Zoe Washington, From the Desk, is your debut novel.
Yeah.
That's crazy because it's so good.
Oh, thank you so much.
I mean, how did you get into writing? How did you decide that you were going to write this book?
So I got a master's in creative writing from the New School back in 2010 and, wrote for many years. It took me a long time to get published. And finally came up with the idea for Zoe Washington back in 2014, actually because of a podcast. I listened to the first season of the podcast Serial. That whole situation of him possibly being wrongfully convicted in that, that they covered in that podcast sort of inspired me to write a story about that idea from the perspective of a kid and have it be their parent. So that's kind of what got me started. And then the baking, I decided to make her a baker because I knew that was gonna be such a tough topic to talk about in middle grade.
Yeah.
And I honestly wasn't even sure I could write about this in middle grade. I thought at first it might be a young adult novel, but then I switched. And then I decided to make her a baker because I thought it would be fun to kind of have something to, make her have more fun and just not have it be so dark and sad the whole way through. So it adds some light moments to have her, baking and decorating cupcakes and things like that. So by the way, you were doing really great at this.
Thank you. I am very proud of this.
Right?
My piping technique.
I'm very impressed. This is about all I can do. We're getting there.
I love it. But what you said, I mean, Zoe's still just, your everyday kid.
Yeah.
So it's nice that she has these things that she's good
exactly.
at.
Because that's what I remember from being her age too, is having hobbies and things that I was really passionate about. And so I definitely like writing about kids who have big dreams like that too, for sure.
So we have all these fun themes in this book, like the baking and this amazing character, but we also have some more difficult themes.
Right.
Like being wrongly convicted. I mean, in this first book, Zoe is trying to figure out if her dad is innocent or not.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And, she finds out that it's twice as likely for a Black person to be wrongly convicted in America. Why was this an important message for you to share?
Once I kind of decided I wanted to write about, this father-daughter relationship and have there be a possible wrongful conviction, I knew, not only because, I'm African-American myself, but because, it's important for me to, I want to represent Black girls and Black families and things, and because I knew that this is such an important thing, like there's so many more Black men that are wrongfully convicted, that's why it made sense to me to make the father, the person who is possibly wrongfully convicted in the story, because I get that question a lot, like, oh, why him and not somebody else in the family or whatever, but no, I think that I could see how much of an impact it would have. Another thing that I learned when I was researching is that 1 in every 26 kids has a parent in prison, which is a lot when you think about it. Like if you think about a classroom of kids, like that means that potentially 1 kid in every classroom could have, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're innocent, just in prison in general. And and so those are some of the reasons why I decided to kind of make the dad, the one who was possibly wrongfully convicted, to kind of just shine a light on this problem, and maybe make people want to do something about it. Because that's kind of what books are all about, like trying to inspire people to possibly change something if they don't like what they're reading about. So.
Yeah, that's so important. And I love that, in Zoe Washington, it's Zoe that's trying to do something about it. And it's just so empowering, I think, for kids especially. Yeah. How did you do your research on that subject?
Mostly through online research, just going to they have so much information on the Innocence Project website, not only about the work that they do, but also the cases that they've helped overturn and some of the, the crimes people have been wrongfully convicted of. And so I was able to kind of read a lot of those and kind of put together a crime for Marcus, based on what I'd read. I was able to that was almost like putting together a puzzle to figure out, what could he possibly have been wrongfully convicted of. Like I had to, kind of work backwards, like where would he have been if he was innocent versus if he was guilty, all those different things. All of that doesn't necessarily make it into the book, but I had to figure it out in my head.
Okay, so we have lots of different themes in this book. Zoe's going through a lot of different experiences. One that I found really interesting was Zoe's dealing with this new experience where her 2 friends have a crush on each other. And I think a lot of middle grade readers will be able to relate to a similar experience.
Yeah, I think, so I don't think this is too much of a spoiler to say that in the second book, she grows up a little bit. I won't say how much, but, as she's growing up, I knew that the dynamics between her and her friends are gonna change, and I feel like that is a big one that, starts to happen. Like sometimes your friends, even if it's not your friends having a crush on each other, you might just have a friend who has a crush on somebody, and they're no longer hanging out with you as much or focus on you as much, and it changes. And that was definitely something I remember experiencing a little bit in middle school. So yeah, I don't know. I think I just wanted to kind of touch on that now that she's getting a little bit older, and it was more likely to start happening to her.
Yeah, and it's really fun, and it's very relatable, I think, of the emotions that she goes through. So yeah, you can tell that Zoe's getting a bit older.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've kind of been making a huge mess here.
Okay, I feel like it's all part of the fun.
Yeah,
I feel like if you're not getting your hands dirty, are you really baking?
Exactly.
So, yeah. You're a professional.
So shall we take a taste of our cupcakes?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, which one? Ooh, can I steal one of yours?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is the amount of frosting
I know,
that I
we were
would
saying
eat.
we have this in common.
Yeah.
We like a little bit of frosting. Okay, cheers. Actually really good.
That is really good.
We did a great job.
Well, thank you so much for coming here. It was incredible to meet you in person.
I know, same here.
And to be in this bakery. This was so much fun.
This was like a bucket list moment for me. So just being in a bakery with you. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is incredible.
Yay. And now we have aprons for life.
Yeah. I love making new friends. Baking is a perfect bonding activity. Remember, when you read, you step into another person's shoes. And see that? We're all regular people with similar lives and experiences. And that brings us all together, doesn't it? See you next time on Ainara's Bookshelf.